Is that light not on? Oh. One side's brighter than the other.
Ready, right? All right, man. Good to see you guys. From a team standpoint, we'll function like today's Wednesday and going right through kind of our process of leading up into the game. So that's what we're kind of dialed in and focused on this week. And much like last game, I told you we'll play our best complementary game all year, offensively, defensively, and special teams. And Detroit in this game calls for that again. And so we're working hard on all those things, from our field position stuff, our winning time moments, just all of it. So ready to get rocking. We have a couple guys that will be on normal rest day. You see the injury report today. It'll be JC, Zach, Clee, and Dante. So with all that said, get rocking with you guys.
I'm curious your thoughts on Dan Quinn, what he's done in Detroit. And I know you have your own style, but is there anything you even looked at how he helped turn around that franchise and incorporate it for yourself?
Well, one, I think he's done a fantastic job. And so just you see the play style and then identity, and those are the things as a coach, John, that you're really, want to make sure that it's rock solid and crystal clear. And so, we've certainly followed him. And also having Lance here, who came from Detroit, gave insights onto how things turn and why. And so, it was all really beneficial.
Impact maybe been even more than you anticipated, if that's possible?
It is possible, because I never wanted the pressure on them to be anything more than ball player first. Neither of them were brought here to coach. I knew they had very high standards, John, really high. And I thought that alone is a standard of what excellence and winning can look like. And I thought that alone is important if you're trying to, do something together in that fashion. Look to those examples first.
The Lions are known for their aggressiveness on going on fourth down. You guys have obviously been doing it a lot, the most efficient team in the league. How wild of a difference is that from when you first got into the league and how teams treat fourth down?
Yeah, it's definitely different, and it has to do a lot with your team too, in terms of how you play. But we had known that from an efficiency standpoint, they're excellent at it, we're excellent at it. So obviously, big parts of the game to go through it. So it has changed a lot, Ben. You're right to know that. Maybe a model at one time has changed, and that's kind of like one of the cool parts about football, man, where things evolve and change and going. And so you want to be bold without being reckless, and finding the right spaces, what the opponent does, what you guys do. But, where you're at in the game, what do you need? So it's definitely, moved from middle of it to, near the top of the game, making, game decisions.
As you guys have won on the last play from scrimmage, I know everyone's different. Every moment was different. But generally, what is that feeling for you on the sidelines when it comes down to that very last second? I mean, are you calm after 5 of these, or like what is just?
No, it's awesome. It's like the best part of coaching, because it's like right with everything on the line, and it's my most favorite part of it all. Like being like 10 toes down with guys that you really love and care about. Like it's the best, and so doing that kind of hardship with really good people, like that's honestly as fun as it gets. And so they don't always work out in your favor, but just being in that arena in that type of competitive, man, like you cannot feel more alive than in that spot when the anticipation and the competitiveness is that high. It's really cool.
And then totally different, David Blau. When did you know he was ready to transition to coaching, and what intrigued you about bringing him here?
I didn't know that he was. So some of the guys that had connections to him previously, Lance had, Cliff had, and so when I got a chance to visit with him, he came, on a recruiting trip here, and I can remember, walking around the field with him, and saying, hey, I really want to be the one that can help start this for you, and we're not going to miss one step of your trajectory as a coach and what that would look like, how he'd have his impact here, how that would be felt, and he's going to be a fantastic coach. But I just wanted to clearly lay out to him what it would look like, from a coaching side, and I wanted to be a real part of that.
What stands out to you about Detroit's defense?
Lots of man-to-man, aggressive, and I think the third downs, with Aaron and their crew has been really of things that they're excellent at.
How much has Dave Gardy been a part of preparing you guys for these winning time moments, these situational things?
A lot. And so Dave presents to the team every Friday, and then we get together on Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, he and I, and then we get together with a group of coaches on Saturdays. And we go from around the league, trends, officiating, and so to have somebody that's that up to speed from officiating to rules to, things that happen in every game, you can imagine how hard that would be to look, okay, let me see this game and then this game. So he gets to go through every game, give me the Cliff Notes version of all the situations. It's a really cool process to go through together. He's been, really influential, here, and to have somebody with his poise and demeanor in the moments is important too.
Hey, good afternoon, Coach.
Good afternoon.
With these postseason mixed officiating crews, how much is emphasized on where they all come from and their trends, and how much is really led by that referee?
I mean by that, if if a deep wing has a certain amount of holding and they were, first in the league, that would be something that we would, talk about. Is the referee, what's the communication like? Because I don't know if they would influence as much of the crew, but how does they manage the game? What does that go through? And so we do look at the individual the individual officials, and is there anything that's a marker higher for their position? And then we start from there.
And what you find there, how much does that impact the week's messaging versus we always want to be clean anyway, so doing it right up front?
I think it's probably just the second part that you said, we want to be clean anyway, and here's an extra emphasis. And so you don't make it in every single category, but if somebody had something that was significant in one area, then that's the one that we would, hey, this is an emphasis. Referees may be, hey, they don't take any shit. This is, any unsportsmanlike. They're not going to mess around. Like, you also say that too. So you just dig in and find out, what are some of the trends that people call, and make sure that's emphasized in our meetings too. We just want to make sure we're finding every margin that we can and just absolutely going for it. And so whether that's on officiating, offense, defense, special teams, our winning time, the complimentary stuff, like the best part of our team is the whole team and all the moments that we spend together doing things.
Atlanta, you talked a lot throughout the year about how you've looked at your time there and maybe changed or evolved. Has anything changed how you approach the playoff run from those times?
Yeah, for sure. And we were talking about like that, and going back to Ben's point, like in 10 years, a lot has changed in terms of how we go about things to do that. But yeah, I certainly learned a lot going through that process, learning it and saying, okay, this would be some things that I would do different. Those changes they began in the off season. The amount of times I've spent in certain spots. But as far as playoffs go, every game's a championship game, and that's what makes it so much fun, because you can't place one versus the other. Man, like for us, all there is Saturday night. Like that's all. It's just that, and so it's not down the line or down the road. And so being in that fight Saturday night, we've earned it, but that's the only fight we're in. So like we're going after it as hard as we can.
Sam Cosme, 4 years here. He told me in the locker room the other night, he was trying to explain the success of this team, and he said it's the culture that's been built. He's been through some low times, but the fact that I'm playing for someone else other than myself matters more.
Yeah.
That's what you're trying to build here, and when you hear that, how does that hit you?
Yeah, that's awesome to hear, because it is about the connection, Chick. And if the connection is stronger, the commitment is also stronger. And so when he and his teammates are that connected to one another, like, man, I'm not going to let you down. I'm absolutely going to take the extra step, go the extra mile, all of the things that you do that. And if you're kind of on the fringe and, neighborhood to brotherhood, there's a big difference. And neighborhood, how you doing? Okay, good. Nice to see you. And you keep on walking. Brotherhood, you don't do that, you know. And so, you know, the fact that he recognizes that connection, that's a big deal.
Coach Gio Del Fatti in Telemundo. It's evident how you can practice play calling or techniques, but how do you implement that clutch DNA that the Commanders just seem to have to keep pulling off those last-minute wins?
Yeah, those are in that poise, I think, is probably what you're referring to. And poise is you know, you have to go through, you know, the difficult ones. You got to go through the good ones. But you do have to put yourself and assert yourself into those spots. We do practice it. You're exactly right about that. But you also have to be in real fights and really close games and, you know, get your heart broken a little bit, you know, on some ones that don't quite go all right. But knowing that you're down for that again and again, you do get stronger, you do get more poise, but you do have to live through them. And that's why when they talk about experience or playoff experience, those things matter because you've been through enough fights.
Got time for 3 more?
Dan, how have the Lions kind of backfilled to deal with all the injuries that they've had second half of the season?
Yeah. Can you fit the first part, Dave?
How have they backfilled
Yes,
in terms of
yeah,
personnel?
sure. It's really a remarkable job, I thought, by Aaron and their defensive staff. It's not an easy thing to do, but one thing that has really I've respected is so many times when you see a team have injuries, they change to play differently or let's play more of this, which they never did. This is how we get down. And I thought, what a great message by Aaron to say this is who we play, and they weren't going to let one set of circumstances take them out of that. And so I thought there's some boldness and confidence that goes with that. And so I think it's a great lesson.
I know you've preached consistency through the season, but from the coaching side, when you're playing a team off extra rest, do you get into how does that change, I guess, the way that you guys prepare for this game, knowing that they might throw some different looks at you and different things that they haven't necessarily done in the regular season?
No different from our end. In terms of the what ifs, you don't go there. They've got a huge playbook. So for us to, you know, draw some stuff up in the dirt and say this might happen, like no way, no can do. And so there's plenty of stuff that they have that we've got to really be rock solid and ready. Like run game's excellent. The playback pass that goes off of that is excellent. So the matchups that we have to dig into. So more than anything, our consistency does come down to us. It's that communication to go, and communication is big. All the shifts and motions they have, the crowd noise. It's an absolutely fantastic, you know, place. It'll be lit, and so those are the things that we have to put our time and attention on. The things that we can control.
Coach, you mentioned all season Jaden's poise in these clutch situations. When did you first know that he had that ability, and how have you seen that develop throughout the season?
Best first. Like I would say, closing time moment for him. It was in our second game against the Giants, and we were really loving to kick field goals back then. I mean, we were on it, and I believe we were 10 person, not any differential. Hey, whatever you think's best. There wasn't any nervous, you know, throwing the ball around. It was just, whew. And so that's, you know, probably the opening page of, you know, the journey of that here. And there's been a lot of chapters in between that have earned that. His first, and he had played that thing hundreds of times, so it wasn't a hope or, you know, this should. That was probably chapter 1.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
All right.
Thanks. We're outside today.
Woohoo!
Call that.
Have a good day.